like to sit on something, and I usually take my blanket and fold it in thirds. And so it gets up a couple of inches high, makes for a nice little seat to sit on. So you want to sit in something comfortable, whether you're sitting on a blanket or bolster or nothing at all. If you feel perfectly comfortable sitting on the floor, that's welcome too. You just want to make sure, whether you're sitting cross-legged or on your shins, that your pelvis is upright as much as possible, and you're not rounding and lowering back or feeling like it's a big strain to sit there. So find something even higher or on a chair that works for you. All right. And then have that presence, that sense of what's beneath you, the foundation that you've created by your seat, by your kneeling. Nice. That looks good. Just be aware of the space beneath you and feel for the pelvic bowl sitting upright. It's like it's not splashing backwards or splashing forward. You're right on top of the sit bones. You can draw the lower belly, that space between the pubic bone and the belly button, slightly in, so that the abdominal muscles don't move with the breath. So we're going to start to intentionally breathe, and we want to make more room for the breath up and around the rib cage and the collarbone. So as you're breathing, if the lower belly is drawn in slightly, then the diaphragm is going to manipulate the lower ribs, expanding out and down, out and in, and more like a bellows they become. So you draw the lower belly in and migrate up the spine and move that spine forward a bit into your body, so you have a presence of your whole spine. Take your collarbones broad to the sides of the room and draw the crown of the head up as you balance the head over the neck. Feel weighted in the wrists and arms, wherever they feel most comfortable to you, in your lap, your thighs, palms up, palms down. And then turn your gaze downward or close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and hold the eyes steady with the eyelids closed if that's the case. And just be aware of yourself here in the room, the space behind you and the space in front of you, and space on either side of you and beneath you and above you. And turn your attention to your breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils. Just noticing the flow of air, the temperature of air, the duration of the air. And maybe turning on Ujjayi breath, so you're taking the glottis a little bit over the opening there, and you're drawing the breath in and out with a sound, a nice whispering sound that starts to vibrate the vagus nerve and calm the nervous system. Kind of sounds like the ocean. As you're listening for that sound, you start to count to yourself how long it takes you to fill your lungs fully and pause for them full. And how long does it take you to empty your lungs fully and pause with them empty? And find that nice flow back and forth like a trapeze. You go in one direction and pause, and the other direction and pause. Next inhale, you can raise your gaze up if your eyes are closed. Be aware of your place in the room. And we're going to start to move a little bit and make more room for the breath, and and keep your mind on your breath. So keeping that breath cycle nice and smooth. Let's take the left hand out to the side, either fingertips down or heel of the hand down, keeping both sides of your spine long. Reaching the right arm up and over. Nice long side body. Keep space in the neck and the shoulders. And choose a gazing point, either down at the left fingertips or your left knee, or forward, or maybe up at your right fingertips. Feel the rib cage expand and contract. Go back to that breath cycle. And keeping the left hand there, right hand comes up and over and dangles a few inches off the floor as you let the left ear drop closer to the left shoulder. Keep space there, buoyancy in the elbow, and breathing deeply as you traction the right side of the neck. Next exhale, just dropping the chin slightly forward as you start to lean out the other side. So the right arm comes out far enough to find buoyancy in the elbow, and the left arm comes up and over. Both sides of the spine are long, and keep space in the collarbones and the neck. And choose the gazing point on this side, which feels appropriate for your shoulders and for your neck. Go back to that deep inhalations, deep exhalations. And keeping that right hand there, left hand comes up and over and dangles a few inches as you let your right ear drop a little closer to the shoulder, tractioning the left neck space and breathing deeply, releasing the tension up there so that the breath can get even fuller. When we inflate our lungs, they come up underneath our collarbones. We want more buoyancy and flexibility and openness up there. And then exhaling, dropping the chin slightly forward and bringing your spine back up to a neutral position, sitting up tall. And then next inhale, reaching the fingers out to the side, bring the hands overhead, press the palms up overhead and pause. Exhale, reach the hands out and down, pushing the air down to the floor, pausing at the bottom of your exhale. Inhale, reaching out and up. And exhaling out and down. And continue like that at your own pace, really connecting with the flow of air in your lungs and the movement of your arms and your gaze all at once. And finishing the one you're on, and do one more after that. Nice. And turning towards the left, take your right hand over to your left thigh, left fingertips behind you, either on the blanket that you're sitting on or right behind your spine. Lengthen the spine as you inhale, and turn the belly, then the heart, then the chin. So staying up as vertical as possible. The spine stays long, and the twist can be really even from the lower spine to the middle spine, the upper spine, where your neck is. Keep the length of the inhales and twist a little deeper with the exhales. Gaze is steady, or close your eyes and feel the breath from the inside out. And keeping the hands and the spine where it is, just exhale and turn and gaze over your right shoulder. So the spine stays long with the inhales, twist a little deeper with the exhales. Nice and vertical, no leaning back or forward. Breathing deeply. And then inhaling, releasing that twist, pausing for a moment. And then setting on the other side. So set the hands up first, lengthen the spine as you inhale and turn belly, then heart, then chin, gaze over your right shoulder. So that right hand is right behind the spine, either on the blanket or the floor or maybe a block. Stay upright as you turn and gaze and breathe deeply. Keep rooted to the legs, lifting up to that lower belly so the rib cage flows freely. And keeping the hands where they are. Next inhale looks over your left shoulder. Keep the spine long, the breath deep, the gaze steady. And then inhaling, releasing that twist. Let's hold on to the right wrist today and bring that up to the ceiling. Lifting up to the right side, lifting up to the lower belly, then lean over to the left side. Keep rooted through the right sit bone, maybe gazing down to the left knee, tractioning that wrist up to the ceiling, lengthening the armpit, the wrist, the side body, breathing here. And then inhale, coming back up to center. Reach around, grab the left wrist, draw that up to the ceiling. Lengthen here, and then leaning out as you exhale, breathing deeply and rooted through the left sit bone. And then inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, release the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, draw the knuckles down, and then lift the hands away from the spine, opening up the collarbones. And you can stay upright like this and maybe dropping the chin or lifting up the chin. Or if you feel comfortable, you might lean forward and lift the hands away. So you keep rooted through the sit bone, just trying to find more space around the upper ribs, the collarbones. Find the position that's most productive for you to breathe deep, deep, deep inhales, deep, deep, deep exhales. And then inhaling, coming up. If you fold it and exhale, releasing your hands. Nice. Okay, we're going to lie down on our backs and do the pelvic movements today to start to release more tension around the hips as well. So if we're making more room for the breath, we want to make room in the shoulder and the upper rib cage as well as the hips. So we'll start lying on our backs, and our legs are going to be straight out in front of us, or down below us rather. What did I mean like that? So you're lying straight. And you're going to flex your feet. Reach through the heels, draw the toes up and up towards your body, so spreading the toes wide, and the hands can rest alongside your body. And then you start to reach through the heel. So you push down through your left heel and hike the right hip up. And then exhale and push down through the right heel and hike the left hip up. So moving heel and hip. So you're making the space between the hips and the ribs shorter on one side and longer on the other. You're just sliding along the mat as best you can. I know it's a sticky mat, so it's a little difficult, but you're not going that far. It's a super subtle movement, just kind of lifting one hip up at a time towards your shoulders and reaching it down. So the legs are straight, and you walking like you're stiff-legged. This is what it feels like to me. So the feet are flexed. So if you don't flex your feet, you're not getting really the benefit of like really using the back body to subtly move. So it's actually the back body and the front body. So the fronts and sides and backs of the legs are really actively moving in concert to hike the hips, make more fluidity in that hip joint. So when we move and we walk in general, that we're using the hips as much as the knees, as much as the ankles and the feet. It gives a little bit more attention to that area. You can move as slow or as fast as it feels right for you. Just hiking one up and down. Do this for a few more moments. And then release any movement. Just pause there in stillness for a moment just to feel what that feels like in your body. Feel sensation, feel what was working. And then go ahead and bend both knees. Place your feet flat on the floor as if you were going to come into bridge pose. So the feet are apart, about hip distance apart. You can adjust the spine so it feels more even as you bend your knees. And then we're going to imagine that the sacrum, which is the bottom part of our spine that's sort of wedged in between each of our hip points. So it's sort of part of our hips and part of our spine. So we're going to imagine that as a diamond, right? So it has a top and a bottom point and a left and a right point. And so if you place your fingertips right on the top of your hip points, like right the little hips right in front of you, in the front of your hips, we're going to lift and lower the left and right side of your sacrum. So the hip points are going to rise and fall. So left and right rocks back and forth. So you're pressing down maybe with your left foot to raise the left hip and press down with the right foot to raise the right foot. But notice if your knees are moving along with this. So try to keep the knees as still as possible and make this really sort of pinpointed spot on your body that's moving, right? So you're isolating that movement in the pelvic bowl, lifting and lowering the left and right side of that sacrum diamond that we're imagining. Just rocking along the back of the hips. Nice. And then go ahead and pause there for a moment in stillness, just noticing sensation. You can release your hands if you have your hands on your hips. And now we're going to go to that diamond imagination again in the back of the sacrum. Imagine we're just lifting and lowering the top and bottoms of the diamond. So what that looks like is kind of a pelvic tilt. You'll exhale and drop the lower back to the floor as the top of that diamond touches the floor. And then you'll inhale, bring the body into a little bit of an arch, and the bottom of the diamond touches down. So exhale, you're flattening the lower back. And then inhaling, you're raising the lower back up. And so a little bit of pelvic tilt and really work with the breath. So exhaling, flattening, inhaling, arching. And sort of rocking on that sacrum because it is a curved bone. So the sacrum is a curved bone, kind of gives the, I don't know, maybe it's sort of the structure behind the shape of our bottom. It has that sort of rounded thing. So we're kind of rocking to the top and the bottom. And then completing the breath cycle you're on, come back to a neutral position with your feet on the floor again, and still rather. And then imagining that diamond one more time. And this time we're going to rock on all 4 points. So just choose a direction and sort of rock around your sacrum. So you're rocking and rolling around in one direction, hitting all 4 points of that diamond as best you can, or just imagining that. And so you can also think of it like you're spiraling your tailbone towards the end of your mat, right? We're doing a little bit of a salsa dance or hula hoop, perhaps. Maybe that's also the visual that will help. Just moving in one direction, cycling around. And again, notice if your knees are moving a lot, keeping the knees as still as possible and isolating the movement itself in the hips. You'll notice you may be pressing into the right foot or left foot a little bit more as you make your way around that circle. And then pausing and going the other direction. So this might take a little bit of mental coordination here. So going in the opposite direction is not going to be your dominant direction. So it's going to take a moment to really figure out which muscles do you fire to make that circle go in the opposite direction. Really challenging that, going in the opposite direction. Nice. And then go ahead and pause there for a moment. You can straighten your legs out long on the mat again. And just notice sensation in the body.